last night was the night when Casey Neistat quit vlogging, and that's a bummer and sad. And I just want to use this opportunity and shoot this little video here and talk with you guys about Casey and what's driving him and what makes him so great, and why I think he's such a big inspiration for everyone probably on YouTube and the whole internet, the whole media world. Like, I'm a journalist. I work for Red Bull. I work for Inverse. I work for a bunch of other brands, like German brands, German media they probably have never heard of. And I think Casey is a bit like Gary Vaynerchuk. He's like this kind of like it's go time, and I love that. Right? It's like honestly, whenever I'm down, whenever I don't know, like a client wasn't behaving, sometimes like a day wasn't, rock and roll. I basically go to my computer, I put on Casey, I watch his vlog, which he invests 4 hours every night into, right? He invested 4 hours every single night into editing this vlog. That's why it's so amazing. So thank you, Casey. And it just gets me pumped. This whole goal time thing, this whole efficiency and productivity thing. Like, Casey is all about productivity. I mean, he's a productivity genius, but he's also crazy about it, right? Like, he's a time management guru, kind of. And I don't think everyone has to become like him, but I think it's, like, you can just learn so much from this guy. Like, this whole thing, for example, when you're traveling, you probably know that, right? You have like 2 hours before your flight leaves, or before let's say, your cab leaves to the airport, and you gotta fly home from, I don't know, LA, New York, a nice place, you gotta go home. And you'd be like, should I probably just hang out at my hotel, or, get some emails done, whatever it is, get a coffee, or should I do something cool? And Casey would always choose to do something cool. And that's what I love about him, right? This is a guy that flies to Mexico. He just has like 40 minutes left, and he just grabs his booster board, and he makes a bunch of friends, and they show him some cool stuff. And he's basically like, hey guys, I have like 30 minutes before I have to go. Show me the coolest stuff in town here. I don't have time. Show it me now. And they do it, right? And that's basically how he's doing his vlogs, right? He basically puts up a drone in the air. He drives a booster board like a maniac, to be honest. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never driven a booster board, but I'm not really sure if it's super safe to drive in Manhattan traffic. But I mean, he's Casey Neistat, right? Even New York Police Department knows that. So yeah, that's one thing. And it's also what I also love about him is like his honesty. This is like, I think this is something that's so rare, and I feel like Casey has reverse engineered social media, like entirely, right? I mean, social media these days is all about showing off. Like, typically, I mean, let's be honest, we post on Facebook when we're at the beach, when we're at a hotel pool, when we're having, I don't know, dinner in a fancy restaurant. We don't post on Facebook that we're sitting in an office writing 200 emails a day, or getting a bunch of work done. Casey's not like that. And I think that's something that's very interesting. I think that's probably something, that's why vlogs are such a special genre in like filmmaking, actually, because it's not following a script. It's all about like showing life. I mean, Casey said time and time again he's not showing his whole life, and that's completely fine, but still he's like super honest to us. And I think this is something that blew me away all the time, because would you show the world when you have problems with your girlfriend? Probably not, right? When you get in an argument with your girlfriend or something, like with family members. Casey does it all the time. I mean, Candace and Casey, they're such an amazing couple, and it's so interesting to follow them like every day. And it's so interesting that they have like all these arguments, and there's kind of like all the tension going on, right? And it feels so natural and so like life, right? It's almost like Casey wants to show the opposite of something that is typically our social life. Because social life typically for most of us is, we show the nice moments, we don't show the sad moments, we don't really share the shit moments. We don't share when a client calls you and I don't know, they don't want to buy your stuff and you're probably upset. We don't show that. We show the successes, right? That's how we do it. That's how we are. That's how we are as humans. And Casey is not like that. I think that's really interesting. It's like, I think that's why people appreciate so much what he's doing, right? He's a very edgy guy. He's a very, it's kind of interesting because he's like very unorganized in some things and very organized in other things. I mean, just think about it. This guy has probably 5 years worth of video footage or even more, and he can find everything somewhere in his system. And he has really good file system apparently because he finds everything, right? He always implements certain, tidbits of like certain videos from like 2 years ago or something. It's magic. It's amazing. It's cool. Right? But on the other hand, he's always late. I mean, this is like, I can kind of relate to this because I'm flying a lot, right? I'm a journalist. I fly a ton. I've flown this year alone 100,000 miles. So I can relate to that, right? It's sometimes it's really like, you're like, I'll be fine. I have enough time to go to the airport, and then you're in a rush. And you don't have time to go to the lounge because you want to, like, I don't know, relax a bit. You have to rush to the airport. You have to rush into a plane. That's what we do. And he's doing this all the time. It's well, I mean, obviously he's doing this all the time because he wants to like make the most out of it, right? That's why he's doing it at the end of the day. Probably not when he's leaving New York, but definitely when he's in some other country. And that's something, I think that's something really interesting. And he's like, that's why every of his little movies feel like a little movie, because you're always like, well, Casey, don't miss your flight. Casey, don't break your gear. I mean, Casey is so good in breaking gear, and like, he has like crashed 12 drones or something, and one drone cost like $1,500. But yeah, what happens, and yeah. Well, I just want to do this little vlog here, or like vlog style, or whatever you want to call it. That's why I'm wearing these glasses, just to honor Casey. You're an amazing guy. He's like super inspirational, I think, for everyone, everyone in the media industry. And well, I'm pretty sure we'll keep on rocking. I mean, he always said that he's not going to leave YouTube. He's not going to become like a big Hollywood producer or something. I think he has already done that. He has a big show on HBO, or he had a big show on HBO a couple of years ago, and he said it sucks or like something like that. Like, it wasn't challenging anymore. So he's a YouTube guy. He's going to stay on YouTube, going to produce something more, and he wants to produce something more and more cool stuff. It's interesting that he said vlogging is just not challenging anymore for him because he's found a formula, and yeah, he's kind of, I think he has basically compared this a bit with, the jungle, where you have to, there's a leaf and you always have to grab the next leaf because otherwise you don't get a challenge. And I kind of understand that. It's weird, and I don't know why people are like that, but I'm kind of like the same, like I have a bunch of clients and I could be happy, but it's always, you're driving for more. You want to do more, you want to have more impact, you want to do something more, you want to be, I don't know, try something new out. Like work with a bunch of influencers, or, like do something different. Like, for example, I've tried to reinvent the way we do lifestyle game journalism in Germany in a more like fun way, in a more like positive way, right? I mean, game journalism these days is all about shitstorms, and like the game industry is a lot about shitstorms these days. And that's what we do at Red Bull, for example. We try to like deliver a more positive message, like gaming should be fun, first and foremost. Yeah, okay, there's like, sometimes it sucks. There's like performance issues here with Mafia 3 and patches coming in and whatever it is. But yeah, I think let's all remain positive. Let's all remain a bit more like Casey Neistat style. He's a cool dude, and yeah, I can't wait to see more from him. Catch you guys later.